Welcome to ET Money Ask the Expert sessions. Today, we are joined by Mr. Nilesh Shah, Managing Director, Kotak Mutual Fund. These are uncommon times. The kind of social and economic impact COVID-19 is having across the world is unheard of. And the belief is that things will get worse even before they start getting better. The markets have also been reacting to these kind of disruptions, and we've seen the biggest correction since 2008. And although the fall has stopped for now, the markets are seeing unprecedented volatility. All this is uncharted territory for most investors, and almost everybody is wondering what they should be doing next. Today, we get Mr. Shah to answer those questions and give his expert views on what investors should be doing. Mr. Shah, thank you so much for taking our time and talking to us.
My pleasure, Rajat.
Jumping onto the question, the first, thing it's not a good time to be an investor in a country like India. You have your FD rates which are falling. Mutual equity, markets have seen a crash. Debt funds are also facing their own challenges. Even small saving, rates like PPF and Sukanya Samriddhi have been slashed. What should be investors do in times like these?
See, essentially, Rajat, whether market is in crisis or not, an investor has to follow three things. One, he has to be a regular investor. Many people follow income minus expenses equal to savings. My recommendation is please do income minus savings equal to expenses. That way you'll always have some saving to do it on a regular basis. Second, be a long-term investor. It's very difficult to time the market. It's always time in the market which makes money for you. And third, please follow a disciplined asset allocation. We have always recommended people to maintain balance between debt, equity, commodity, global assets, real estate. Now, yes, today Indian debt market is volatile, bank FDs are coming down. But if you look at dynamic bond funds, their returns are in double digit. If you look at gold ETFs, the returns are quite spectacular at 35-40%. If you look at equity, undoubtedly returns are negative. If you look at real estate, investment trusts, again returns will be subdued or lower. But when you combine the portfolio between debt, equity, real estate, commodity, and international assets, your returns will still be positive or moderately lower, and hence it will give you confidence that you can survive the downturn. So never ever miss the three things of regular investment, long-term investment, and disciplined asset allocation.
Sure. So, Mr. Shah, you just mentioned, about gold and, asset allocation. There is, certainly there is a lot of interest in gold now, right? This is an asset class that has sort of, been doing very well for the last 1 year, right? And a lot of investors are thinking, whether it is, they should be start moving to gold now. But is it a good time to invest in gold? And, what is the role that gold should play in an investor's portfolio? And how much is too much, investing in gold?
So today, undoubtedly, gold is an attractive asset class. Normally, we have seen in a period where interest rates are low and liquidity is high, gold prices does well. It happened between November 2008 when gold price bottomed at $750, went all the way up to $1,875 by September 11. That was the period where interest rates were very low, liquidity was very high, gold prices moved ahead. Now 2020 onwards, we will see interest rates which are very low, liquidity very high. Can what happened between 2008 to 2011 be repeated in 2020 onwards? Answer is yes. This time there is one more added factor. China has $3 trillion of FX reserve. वो पैसा उन्होंने US डॉलर में, यूरो में, येन में लगाया है. Now there are cases going on against China in US courts for class action suit, COVID-19 compensation. मतलब low probability है, but कल को उठ के किसी ने बोल दिया that we should confiscate China's dollar assets and use the proceeds against COVID-19 claim. What will happen to China? उनकी तो सारे FX reserves खत्म हो जाएंगे.
Yeah.
Will they like to shift some assets from US dollar, yen, euro into gold? Answer is quite likely. Of course, they won't shift $3 trillion reserves to gold, but 300 billion भी कर लिया तो बहुत है हमारे लिए. So gold prices can do well in the days to come, courtesy globally low interest rates which are prevailing, courtesy globally very high liquidity which is prevailing, and on top of it, if China shifts part of their allocation from FX to gold, it will give a big boost to gold prices.
Okay. So the perception is that we should invest in gold. So how much should users should be allocating in gold? And what kind of a role does it really play in one's portfolio?
So if you are looking to invest on a 5 to 7 year horizon, then gold bonds are better. They give you between 2.25% to 2.5% return on a yearly basis over and above gold price appreciation. If you are looking to invest in 1 to 3 year horizon, then gold ETFs are better. They do charge nominal fees, but then there is higher assured liquidity. An individual can allocate, depending upon their risk profile and investment objective, into gold as an asset class. My recommendation is to put anywhere between 10% to 20% into gold as an asset class between physical gold, gold ETF, and gold bonds.
Okay, so you're saying 10 to 20% of the portfolio can be in gold for any investor.
Yes.
Okay. Sure. So, then moving on to the next question, while we spoke about asset allocation and, splitting your, investments across asset classes, there is this prediction of recession, right? And there's a lot of uncertainty in the market. How should investors prepare for a time like this, where, experts are saying India is only going to grow at 2%, in the year, and, there are talks of layoffs or salary, hikes not happening. What should people be doing to be ready for a possible, period of low growth and no growth when it comes to their own money and finances?
So I'll recommend them to look at this chart carefully. Okay. On x-axis is medical solution. On y-axis is fiscal and monetary stimulus. In the most fortunate scenario, if we get early medical solution and very high dose of fiscal and monetary stimulus, the economic recovery will be V-shaped. We will fall in terms of GDP growth in April, May, June, but we can rise in June, July, August, or July, August, September. The rise will be equally sharp because medical solution allows us to lift lockdown and fiscal and monetary stimulus supports industry. The most unfortunate scenario will be where medical solution is available after a long period of time. Lockdowns become part and parcel of day-to-day life, and our fiscal and monetary stimulus is very, very poor. In that case, our recovery will be L-shaped, will crash, but we won't recover. Somewhere, medical solution and fiscal and monetary stimulus will determine what will happen to economic recovery and market. Today, both these variables are unknown, and hence it will be difficult to take a call. What is the economic cost of this coronavirus? Now, since everyone knows the pain, let me talk about the positives. This is not at all to say that there is no recession or slowdown in growth because of coronavirus. I'm just trying to paint post-coronavirus picture. Once medical solution emerges, we will benefit from lower oil prices. We import 1.5 billion barrel of oil every year. $1 drop in oil price saves you $1.5 billion. इस साल 35-40 बिलियन डॉलर का फायदा हो सकता है. Second, our trade deficit with China, with rest of the world was very, very high. हम लोग जितना एक्सपोर्ट करते थे उससे ज्यादा इंपोर्ट करते थे. Now export import both are restricted. Can we replace $10-20 billion of made in China goods with made in India goods? You save $10-20 billion there. Now look at this way. The GDP slowdown for FY21 is estimated at about 4% on a $3 trillion GDP. That's roughly $120 billion cost. These are all back of the envelope calculation. Don't take it at face value. against $120 billion potential economic cost of this coronavirus, $40 billion can be saved in oil, $20 billion can be saved in trade deficit. So our net economic cost comes down to $60 billion. It's not that big a number. We can afford it. We can manage it. Of course, it will be painful. 60 billion hota hai. But it is not a sledgehammer. It's a knuckle on our body.
Okay. So you're saying the risk of a big slowdown is sort of overblown as a concept, or you think people are being over pessimistic of what's happening?
No. When someone says that there is a very, very deep slowdown, very, very big recession, he's essentially looking at this. When someone says that it is less, he's essentially looking at this. I am not an expert on medical side. I don't even know what kind of fiscal and monetary stimulus government and RBI is going to give, because it is work in progress. हर रोज कुछ ना कुछ announce हो रहा है. All I am saying is that medical solution and fiscal and monetary stimulus together will determine what will be the impact. And today, since both these variables are unknown, maybe people are taking a little bit of pessimistic view. Tomorrow, once these things change, people may take more realistic view. And hence, we have to always remain invested in the market, because whatever is unknown, that is not discounted. But whatever is known is discounted. Lockdown is no longer unknown. Uncertainty about medical solution is no longer unknown. Fiscal monetary stimulus is unknown. But all those things have been discounted into the market at this prices.
Sure. So you're saying, stick to what you're doing and not really tinker too much with your investments right now.
Absolutely.
Okay, sure. That's a great point. So, then moving on to the next question, again, it's sort of related to, where you should be investing. There's a lot of talk that whenever the recovery happens, large caps will lead the way, and, therefore it is the right time to, invest in large caps. What are your views on this? Is it the right time to get into large caps, or, small and mid caps still offer a better risk reward ratio?
Actually, market has given you a time travel machine. H.G. Wells का बचपन में आपने नॉवेल पढ़ा होगा, टाइम ट्रैवल. वो रियल लाइफ में तो नहीं है, बट स्टॉक मार्केट में है. तो टुडे यू कैन गो बैक 4 years in 2016 to buy large caps. You can go back 6 years in 2014 to buy mid caps, and you can go back 9 years in 2011 to buy small caps. Now, this is the backwardation possible to buy large, mid and small cap stocks courtesy today's market. Now, because small caps have fallen maximum, should I buy that? Answer is no. You have to understand your risk profile. You have to understand your investment objective. If I'm a conservative investor, I should be happy investing in large cap. I'm still getting 4 years before prices. If I'm very aggressive investor, then I can look at small and mid cap. I will buy it in 6 to 9 years before prices. If I'm average investor, which most of us are, then I should be happy buying multi-cap. The objective here is not to maximize your return. The objective here is to optimize your return. Because risk and return go hand in hand. आप small and mid cap में डालेंगे because वो 65% गिर चुके हैं. You never know, वो 70% भी गिर जाए, 75% भी गिर जाए. So you should invest based on your risk profile.
Okay. But Nilesh, there was time when, till about 3-4 months back, people were saying, small caps have corrected, they are back to their long-term averages, and P's are back to long-term averages. And, it is a good time to now get back into small and mid caps, right? Now, with the COVID-19, thing, there's a lot of uncertainty. Do you still believe that small and mid cap funds, people who are sitting on, waiting for the valuations to correct and, waiting for, to the right time to get into small mid caps, does the situation still hold true, or it is changed since the markets have changed?
नहीं रजत, इसमें यह है कि रसगुल्ला तो खाने में बहुत अच्छा लगता है, बट अगर आप डायबिटिक पेशेंट है तो रसगुल्ला मत खाइए. और अगर आप हट्टे कट्टे इंसान है, हेल्थी है, तो एक की जगह 2 रसगुल्ला चटका लीजिए, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं. So small and mid caps are like rasgullas. If you can afford it, definitely invest into it. But if your risk profile is conservative, you will get unnerved by 10% drop in prices and you will redeem. Then please don't come into small and mid cap, even though this is a good time to buy. See, प्रॉब्लम क्या होता है कि लोग परफॉर्मेंस देख के इन्वेस्ट कर देते हैं, अपनी रिस्क प्रोफाइल नहीं देखते. फिर जब वॉलेटिलिटी आती है, then they end up redeeming. So my recommendation is that if you are a conservative investor, be overweight equity, go into large cap. If you are average investor, go into multi-cap. And if you are aggressive investors, which can take a ride of roller coaster ride, then go into small and mid cap. आप रोलर कोस्टर देखिए, बच्चों को उसमें मजा आता है, बूढ़े बहुत कम चढ़ते हैं, तो स्मॉल एंड मिड कैप रोलर कोस्टर है. अगर आपकी फितरत बच्चों जैसी है तो प्लीज गो एंड इन्वेस्ट इनटू इट. बट अगर आपको सेफ्टी चाहिए तो फिर लार्ज कैप एंड मल्टी कैप इज बेटर फॉर यू.
Okay, sure. So don't enter them if you know your risk appetite is not to see ups and downs in your portfolio. Sure, valid point. So then on to the last question, Nilesh. While there's a lot of gloom because of the correction that has happened in the market, and it's painful for most investors to see their portfolios down 30-40%, right? What are the positives that you see emerging out of this fall that has happened over the last two and a half odd months?
So मेरे लिए the biggest positive is the image of India.
Okay.
There are two oldest civilizations in this world, India and China.
Mm-hmm.
China gave Wuhan virus to world. We gave hydroxychloroquine tablet to the world.
Mm-hmm.
एक ने दर्द दिया, हमने दवाई दी.
Mm-hmm.
एक ने जख्म दिया, हमने मरहम लगाया.
Mm-hmm.
Will the world reciprocate us? And this is where India's biggest opportunity lies. In 1980, India and China were of similar size.
Yes.
They became manufacturer to the world. और हमें बहुत पीछे छोड़ के चले गए. They are now 5 times bigger than us. Now, companies are wanting to move away from China. This is our opportunity to bring them into India. When Tata Motors was looking to shift from Singur, one SMS came to their way, Suswagatam or a welcome. That was sent by Mr. Modi, Chief Minister of Gujarat.
Okay.
When Tata Motors went to Gujarat, in Sanand, land was given, electricity connection was given, environmental approvals were given, ancillary infrastructure was developed quickly, and in 18 months, Tata Motors started rolling down nano from their factory. Now, can we do the same approach to all those companies which wants to move away from China to India? They'll come and set up factories over here. They will create employment. They will create exports. And India will be able to catch up with China over a period of time.
Okay.
Let me sum it up with just one example how big this opportunity is. Samsung is a Korean chaebol. It came to India long before it went to Vietnam. They make in India items like TV, fridge, AC, mobile phones. Their turnover in India is $10 to $12 billion because whatever they manufacture in India, primarily they sell in India. On the other hand, in Vietnam, their turnover is $62 billion, 6 times more than India, in a country which is 1/10 the size of India. They are making in Vietnam but selling all over the world. Now, because they are so big in Vietnam, they contribute 28% of GDP to Vietnam.
Okay.
Vietnam has outperformed India in terms of GDP growth over last decade. A lot of credit goes to Samsung. One company contributes 28% of GDP to Vietnam.
Okay.
In India, government of India, including state and local government, does not contribute 28% of GDP. Importance of Samsung in Vietnam GDP is more than importance of all the government, state, local and central in India's economy as a percentage of GDP. Now imagine करिए हम ये सारी companies को China से India में लेके आए. We help them establish like Tata Motors was established in Sanand. Can you imagine what will be our growth rate for years to come? We have lost 3 months, 6 months probably because of COVID-19. But if we capture this opportunity, then for next 3 years to 30 years, we don't have to worry about growth. That's the opportunity of supply chain diversification. I just hope and pray that the opportunity which we missed in 1980, we recapture with vengeance in 2020.
Sure. So that's a very optimistic and a way to look at things, Nilesh. And I think everybody watching this video would hope and pray, as you said, that we are able to capture this opportunity and grow for 3 to 30 years that you've been saying. And with this is the end. Thank you so much for taking out time, Nilesh, and speaking to us. And we look to connect with you in person. Once the lockdown opens up and talk more detail about markets. So thank you so much for taking out time.
Thank you.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.